realize that we are running a bit out of time, so I'll keep this shorter than scheduled. This event, and thank you very much for inviting me, because it is a truly important topic, and this event shows the tremendous ambition of the industry to bring consumers and businesses connectivity to the highest quality network possible. The Netherlands Authority for Consumers and Market is a multifunctional authority. We are a competition authority, we are a telecoms authority, an energy authority, a consumer protection authority, and you may call it a quad play authority. As a telecoms authority, and in that capacity I'm standing here before you, the ACM's aim is to contribute to a well-functioning market, leading to innovative services and at competitive prices for end users. And for us, competition is key to achieving that aim, because we strongly believe that competition leads to investments and investments lead to connectivity. Now let's turn to competition and look at some of the figures, because there are a few things that worried us as a telecoms regulator in the Netherlands, and that were decreasing investments, decreasing churn, and increasing prices. If you look at the first slide, you see that unfortunately over the past few years we witnessed less rather than more investment in broadband in the Netherlands. And this figure represents the total cumulative amount of investments in fixed networks of all major telecom operators in the Netherlands. As you can see, there has been a significant decline over the past few years, and on the second slide, that's this slide, you can see the decrease in the additional numbers homes passed by fiber. And this shows also specifically how much investments in fiber have decreased over the past few years. In addition to this, we also saw churn decrease. And churn, as was well known, is one of the indicators for us for competition. Less churn is a warning signal that there may be less competition in the market. And finally, what we saw is a development of retail prices for fixed access, for bundled services, where you see over the past years the prices for bundles increasing. So in summary, we saw investments decrease, we saw churn decrease, and we saw prices increase. And this concerned us. And this brings us to the market intervention that we did a few months ago. What did we do? We tried a measure to stimulate competition and more investments. And among other things, we decided to improve network access to the two fixed networks in the Netherlands, that of KPN and that of Vodafone Ziggo. So what did we do? First, we analyzed the market. We looked at the market and saw two networks with a, I would say, comfortable 40 to 45% market share, and with reduced figures and increased prices. We saw a decrease, I repeat, a decrease in infrastructure investments, and that market, how we viewed it, was slowly but steadily, or maybe on the verge of developing into a quiet duopoly. And that concerned us, and that concern we addressed by adopting our new wholesale fixed access decision. That decision is currently under appeal, but we strongly believe that we will win and withstand judicial scrutiny, and that we will prevail also in court. And our decision describes the unique situation of joint dominance in the Netherlands between, on the one hand, KPN and on the other hand, Vodafone Ziggo. And that's a fairly unique situation in Europe. So what we did with our decision is we forced both networks to open up to wholesale competition and to third parties. By forcing Vodafone Ziggo to open up its network, we are ensuring that competing service providers have the choice between two basically wholesale networks, that of Vodafone and that of KPN. On this slide, you see the Dutch telecoms landscape. On the left hand, you see KPN's practically full covering copper network. On the second slide, you see Vodafone Ziggo's coax network, which is covering at this moment about 90% of the households in the Netherlands. And on the third slide, on the third box on your right hand, you see the chart of the fiber to the home networks in the Netherlands. And what is striking is that for those of you who are not fully aware of the geography of the Netherlands, on the right-hand side is relatively more rural than the left-hand side. So contrary to kind of an intuition, in the Netherlands you see that there's actually more investment in fiber in rural areas than in the urban areas. And what we aim with our decision, our wholesale access decision, is to improve and incentivize the parties to roll out fiber in the light pink areas, the more urban areas in the Netherlands. So opening up access to the fixed network of Vodafone Ziggo ensures that KPN is no longer the only nationwide network open to third parties. And this will create, in our opinion, for the first time, infrastructure competition at the wholesale level between KPN and Vodafone Ziggo, and as a result, it will lead to more investments. In our decision, we've also taken measures to make fiber investments easier. So where fiber is deployed by KPN, regulated access to the copper network is withdrawn, and this means that there are no double network expenses for KPN. In addition, we made access to Vodafone Ziggo's network conditional upon serious access requests by third parties. Only if there is a serious access request for wholesale services, Vodafone Ziggo has to open its network, and because we wanted to avoid kind of a theoretical situation, but as far as we know now, there is serious interest to get access to Vodafone Ziggo's network, which will improve competition. As a final point, what we did is that regulated access to Vodafone Ziggo by KPN, also a possibility of course, is excluded because we want to stimulate and incentivize KPN to compete at an infrastructure level with Vodafone Ziggo everywhere in the country. Further, lastly, an important aspect of our decision is that we took a light touch approach to price regulation. In principle, ACM will only set prices for access when the parties cannot come to an agreement. We do hope that competition will lead to competitive access prices and that we don't have to regulate prices. We are a regulator of last resort, in our opinion. But if it is necessary, if parties cannot come to an agreement, we will step in and set cost-based access prices, but only if necessary. So finally, wrapping up, our wholesale fixed access decision will lead, in our opinion, to improved infrastructural competition. And in the long run, it is infrastructure competition that will push the networks, the two networks, and others to continue to invest in the Netherlands. This should lead to improved networks and contribute to the best broadband for everyone now and in the future. So for the next days, ladies and gentlemen, while you are on your conference journey, remember that whatever session you attend, in our view, what it's all about is connectivity and competition. Thank you very much.